Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Gangnam 1970, also known as Gangnam Blues, a Korean crime movie from 2015 that stars Lee Min-ho and Kim Rae-won. The director is Yoo Ha, who previously gave us Once Upon a Time in High School and A Dirty Carnival, both of which are very good flicks. Now, Gangnam 1970 is part of a thematic trilogy with those other films, but how does it compare in terms of overall quality? Well, let's find out. Set in the 1970s during the height of political corruption, Gangnam, in the southern part of Seoul, is starting to transform into a developed area. Childhood friends, played by Lee Min-ho and Kim Rae-won, struggle to get by until their shanty homes are demolished by local thugs. Desperate for cash, they get involved in violent political clashes and are separated during one of the skirmishes. 3 years later, one of them lives as an adopted son of a former gang leader. Meanwhile, the other has risen as a made man inside Seoul's most powerful criminal organization. So early on, we get a glimpse of the differing moralities between these two guys. Kim's character immediately thinks of robbing a bank and other illegal activities in order to get their way out of poverty. And it is a pretty desperate situation, and you can understand why these thoughts crossed his mind. But Lee's character tended to avoid these ideas, but of course he ends up getting roped into the criminal world regardless. But let's be honest, the story is pretty commonplace. You know what I mean? But I will give it some credit. As a viewer, you will be wondering if our protagonists will be forced against each other or if they'll team up instead. And because they're placed on opposing sides of these gangster conflicts after they lose touch with one another. And there are times where it could go either way, and I like that. Now, Gangnam 1970 has pretty convincing performances and fine overall quality with mostly absorbing conflicts. I did enjoy the real estate development angle and the importance of land as part of the plot, instead of just focusing on maybe drugs or prostitution, things that you typically see in crime films, right? Both lead actors have more than enough screen presence here, which is an obvious positive because they hold the entire film together from start to finish. Whenever either one or both is on screen, it's pretty engaging here. One complaint is that the story does feel a bit long at over 2 full hours. I don't think this film drags at any point, but I do feel like they could have snipped a few minutes here and there off the runtime. Also, if I were to compare the story of Gangnam 1970 to either Once Upon a Time in High School or A Dirty Carnival, I just feel like this film falls just a little bit short of being as awesome as those two films. And there was less dramatic impact in this movie for me personally. Kind of difficult to describe exactly why. I just feel like Gangnam 1970 had a little bit less of that emotional kick that, Once Upon a Time in High School and Dirty Carnival had. So that's just something that I felt while watching it. It's nicely shot. I like the clothing and interior designs since it's set in the 1970s. Now, viewer beware that this does get a bit violent in spots. There are quite a bit of stabbings with knives in this film, and there are 3 scenes of gratuitous sex that just seemed entirely unnecessary in this film. You should know me by now. I watch a lot of movies with graphic sexual content, but they just kind of annoyed me here. They just kind of came out of nowhere just to make the film a little edgy or something like that. It didn't really tell us much about the characters, so I feel like, they should have been excluded. They are short-lived, but, just one example is something they could have left on the editing room floor, in my opinion. But I do recommend Gangnam 1970. It's a good flick, and it's currently streaming on Amazon. And as always, folks, I'll see you next time.